Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I finally got my parts in so we can hopefully complete this turbo upgrade on my V2403. So these are all the parts that I need so I can feed oil to my turbo, but we also have to replace these two plugs. These are where the coolant goes in, but we're not running the turbo hot enough to actually have to water cool it. So I have these, countersunk plugs so I have enough room to run the oil feed line. So let's get to it. When I had measured this and I went to order the line, I thought I was in between 24 and 36 inches, so I got a 36-inch pre-made line. In the future, I might change this to a 24-inch line because I think it would fit perfectly, but this is going to work for what I'm doing, no problem at all. I also just found this hose, and this is the original oil drain pipe back to the motor. Instead of cutting this, all I'm going to do is hook this up to this turbo. I've already confirmed that this fits on this turbo. I'm just going to hook this up. It's going to go near the exhaust, but it used to go through the exhaust manifold at first, so it kind of doesn't matter that it gets close to it. And then I'm going to use this hose to drain it back in the motor. I'm also going to use this hose to extend this because they look like they're about the same size. So we're going to give that a try real quick and see what happens. Alright everyone, I have the return line all hooked up. I have the feed line hooked up, though I haven't tightened these two fittings yet. We're actually going to take this off and put some oil in the turbo so it has something in it when we first start it up. I'm going to do that real quick and then we're going to go for a test fire. Man, I wasn't expecting it to spin. Alright everyone, that was a complete success. We have no oil leaks and we have no exhaust leaks, so I am completely thrilled with that. The motor sounds a lot different right now, but we don't have the charge pipes hooked up yet, which is now what I'm going to work on, so let's get to it. Alright, we have all the boost hosing in place, so now we're going to start it up and make sure we have no leaks. We have the air intake on. I'm really happy with it. Huge shout out to KubotaSwappers. Was on the phone with him this morning talking about whether I should install a wastegate regulator and try to control boost that way, and he talked me into just J-barring the wastegate shut because I found out I can actually control the amount of boost with how much fuel I'm giving the motor, and I really like that idea more. So we're going to use the same thing I used on my old turbo. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, and I have actually ordered stainless steel locking zip ties, so we're going to do that. This is a temporary measure because I never liked the way it looked, But we're going to go ahead and disable the wastegate and then go take this out for a test drive and see what it does. Alright, a couple of things from that video. One, the EGTs climbed really quick. What I hadn't told you all yet was when I took off the stock turbo, I noticed I did not have the EGT probe pushed in all the way into my exhaust manifold. So while I was getting a temperature reading, it wasn't completely accurate. Now it is. Second, I have done a couple of more test runs since that footage. I didn't put the camera on because it's been raining on and off, and I was trying to get runs in real quick. I have turned the fuel screw back in a turn and an eighth. So we were 2 1/8 out. Now we are 1 turn out, and I'm still seeing about 15 PSI boost, but when I am cruising, it's about 6 to 8 PSI, but the EGTs are a little bit high. Now, the other thing I want to say is I started this channel so I would learn. I want to give a huge shout out to KubotaSwappers. I learned a lot in a phone call I just had with him. I can get rid of this wastegate, and I told him it's the bracket that holds the compressor housing to the center section of the turbo. I just learned that you can replace that with washers. So what we're going to do now is remove all the charge piping that I had just installed. We are going to clock this turbo so it is as straight as it can be to the intake on my Kubota V2403, and then we're going to go out and test drive it again and see if that has helped lower the EGTs at all. But more than likely, folks, we're going to an intercooler. Alright everybody, I've clocked the compressor housing, I've plugged off the wastegate reference, we still have the turbo J-barred so it won't open, we've redone the charge piping so it's much simpler, it doesn't have the 180-degree bend, and I'm curious to see what my EGTs and my boost look like. Again, more than likely I still think we're going to go to an intercooler setup, but I want to see what this does, so let's get to driving. Alright everybody, that's all I've got for this video. Overall, I'm very happy with the turbo swap. Yes, I need to find an intercooler and I have a couple ideas that I'm going to explore, but we still have options. We still have a lot of performance we can gain out of this Kubota V2403, and I am super excited to see what those gains will be. But hey, it's YouTube, you know what to do. Tread lightly and take out more than you bring in. See you next time.